I think that they embrace it more than any other producer in the world. There's no doubt, because they have laws that no other country in the world has that prohibits them from utilizing their property in the fullest. And so in Brazil, you have to maintain, depending on what region you're in, what geographic region, a percentage of your property in permanent conservation easement. So where I am, it was 50%, and it was raised to 80. Today, in the Amazon basin, you have to maintain 80% of your land in forest. And so you bought 100%, you can only use 20. So that's a service being provided not only to Brazil, but to the world. It's an ecosystem service, and there's no payments for that service yet. So the Brazilians understand that they have this law that's on top of them that's pushed them to a state of civil disobedience. They have markets, export markets, that are demanding them to abide the law, but those guys don't understand how complicated the law is or how restringent it is. Mm-hmm. So the producer is in the corner, and he's looking for a way to be proactive, to get out of the pressure, and to make money at the same time. And
you've formed the Alianca da Terra. Can you talk a little bit about what that is and what it's achieving so far?
It was formed because of my own personal experience and some other key individuals that live and operate in this frontier region, which is like the Wild West. It was a very virgin wilderness that came under development, which basically means deforestation, and an area the size of Texas has been deforested right before my eyes. And so you see that happening with all this world effort trying to control deforestation through command and control and restrictions, and it hadn't worked. And the fact is, you need incentives, you need carrots out there in the front to push people into the right direction. And so what happened was, all these landowners, when we started talking to them, you could sense this pressure relief valve. They said, man, someone's finally listening to us. And we built up momentum to now it's almost like a revolution. We have hundreds of producers, ranchers come into our system, and all of them being proactive and actively investing in the land and doing the right thing.
So have you seen an impact in the deforestation rates?
Well, we don't have enough track record yet to really guarantee that. We have a few years we could track it, and we know one thing, that in the last 2 years, not one tree has been torn down in our system. So that means that people came in, stopped deforesting, and we're actually positive on the balance sheet, because they started to reforest all their riparian zones, or their creeks and streams that by law have to be reforested 50 meters on each side. So we have producers who are coming in and planting or letting regenerate naturally all their waterways.
You talked a little bit about the Wild West. I thought I heard you say you moved. Did you actually move because of some of the issues going on around where you were living initially?
Well, yeah, we lived in an area very isolated. It took, to get to the nearest big metropolitan center, 14 to 16 hours by car on terrible roads. So if you got hurt or injured, you were on your own, and which happened to us quite often. I mean, with employees ourselves, or delivering babies on our property, snake bites, treating, broken arms, anything you can imagine, appendicitis. We very remote. We didn't have electricity. We didn't have telephone. We had shortwave radio, and we lived in those conditions for 7 years. And then we had kids, and then we had kids. We had some close calls with snake bites and some other issues with violence in the region, that we decided that we would relocate to town, and I managed by airplane. I spent half the month on our properties and half a month in town, in the office.
And how long ago was it that you moved? Was it right after you had kids, or?
It was after our first. No, it was right when we had our second kid. Yeah, and there were two kids. Our two little girls, little toddler, and the other gal was 2 years old, Catarina, and I walked out on the porch, and there was a tropical rattlesnake within 2 feet of them. And the little girl was walking over there. If it had bit her, it killed her, because they're a lot more poisonous than the U.S. variety. So that was enough. My wife pulled the plug.
And your wife is Kika?
She's
Kika,
right?
yes. Yeah. And she's also a ranch management
graduate. She's a Brazilian, and she came here and we met in the course.
Mm-hmm.